E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles.
Back on track, everybody. The Philadelphia Eagles got the win today, 28-22, in a masterclass performance from Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. It looked stagnant at times, but at the end of the day, they get it going, and some crucial plays for Jalen, for AJ, and for DeVonta Smith. Many have been calling for it, me included, and the Birds are back in the win column today, a 28-22 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Then they move to 5-2 on the year. Big Sills, welcome into the legendary JAKIB Postgame Show. My friend, how you doing on this Eagles winning Sunday?
Absolutely great, dude. I mean, I've never seen a football team in my life in Minnesota that wanted to lose a game more than watching what they did in that football game with lost opportunities down in the red zone. Got to hand it to the defense and what they did by keeping them out of the red zone and really playing great red zone defense, I should say, out of the end zone. And they did one whale of a job. I'll tell you something else before I get to the offensive skilled guys. I think that the offensive line in the pass protection did a sensational job today because they didn't really get to Hurts that much. They gave him time. Jalen played really well in the secondary. And against a team that really hadn't given up plus 25 plays, still the run game is absolutely non-existent. And that really goes down to, again, not having Cam Jurgens in there. But no question about it. I mean, they did a really great job. And as we move forward here, this is going to be either going to be how they're going to start winning games, or this is going to be just one of those one of again. I mean,
no, you're right. I mean, look, that's the next thing.
I'm not sold you're doing that week in and week out.
I agree. And look, that's the next thing this team has to get to, more consistency. We've even seen that in the first, 6 weeks of the year. But I tell you what.
I even saw that in this game.
Wait, I got to say, I mean, look, all week, me, you, we were tough on Hurts. I was tough on Hurts. This is what I love about Jalen. Whenever the moment comes, he really does have a response. 19 of 23 today for 326 and 3 touchdowns and a perfect passer rating, only the third in Eagles history. Let's bring John McMullen in now. He's going to join us here on the JAKIB Postgame Show, and we'll get some of his commentary. John, welcome into the Postgame Show, my friend. Your first comments on the Eagles win today, 28-22. Johnny Mac, they win and get back in the win column.
Yeah, I was a point off. I had 28-23.
Yeah.
So, I mean, tremendous performance, big-time performance from Jalen Hurts, obviously. I thought it was a mismatch outside with DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown against Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy. That turned out to be the case. Red zone defense, phenomenal. Gave up a lot of yards, but didn't give up touchdowns. And the Vikings had been very good in the red zone. Couple touchdowns overturned, so I don't want to hear about the officials this week. That could have changed this game, so that helped.
By the way, that Hawkinson was a catch.
Yeah, that was a catch.
What
are we doing here? What are we doing here? But
John,
you know what?
He bobbled the ball, and he never had it hit the ground, and he caught it, and he regained possession. That was a touchdown. Even Olsen said it.
Yeah, well, Mike Pereira right away said it wasn't. I don't know what they're looking for, but that looked like a touchdown. Couple holding calls they missed. So this is 1 week you can't say you can't blame the officials, but just a phenomenal performance by the big three: Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown. And yeah, I mean, no more talk about Kevin Patullo, so don't worry about the bye week.
There's a couple of plays there that were still bothering me, but overall, you're right, John. I mean, it's a great performance today. DeVonta Smith, man, he is having a great. I mean, he really does have great route running ability and just a great receiver. Definitely slept on, obviously, when you're in an offense behind A.J. Brown, but great game today for DeVonta Smith. I'll give you guys the stat lines. Jalen Hurts, 19 of 23 for 326. 3 touchdowns. He took 3 sacks, and he had a 158.3 rating. For those who do not know, that is a perfect rating for Jalen Hurts, only the third in Eagles history. Saquon, just 18 carries for 44 yards, so still struggling a little bit to get the running game going. DeVonta Smith, 9 receptions, 183 yards, and 1 touchdown. Obviously had that 79-yard bomb. And A.J. Brown, 4 catches, 121, and 2 touchdowns, and he had that 45-yard reception to ice the game basically at the end. So as you mentioned, John, a massive performance by the big three. I think the question will be, how consistent can they be now after this? But it is good to get back in the win column for this team, coming off of 2 straight losses and obviously a very ugly loss last week versus the New York Giants. So a big win today for the Eagles, in my opinion, to get back in the win column and kind of steady the waters again around this team.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect this every week. You can't expect a perfect passer rating and 300 passing yards to all of it basically went to DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown, because those two combined for over 300 yards. So obviously that's not going to be consistent week to week. So, temper your excitement over that. But it proves, as it has proved, they can do it. And it's still a little bit confounding why they can't do it a little bit more consistently. Again, not to this level, but to a more acceptable level. So that part of it remains confounding. This was Jalen at his height. I mean, they only converted 3 third downs, and I think all of them were like 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14, where it extends the play. It just takes the heart of the defense. You think you're getting off the field, and he just keeps extending the play and finds a receiver down the field. So this was a brilliant performance by Jalen Hurts, one of the best games he's ever played, as obvious by his passer rating. And again, that red zone defense, it wasn't pretty. They gave up a ton of yards. But once Minnesota got in the red zone, they couldn't do anything. And that was really impressive in those confined quarters, because they were
not the most Carson Wentz game you'll ever see. Ups, downs, good moments, bad moments, interceptions, big throws, accurate throws, inaccurate throws. I'm like, man, you really do get it all, Carson Wentz.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you look at the game and you say the difference was the 2 turnovers, and the Eagles don't turn the football over. That's basically. I mean, all the numbers are great, the 300 plus yards and all that. They turned it over twice. They had a pick 6, and the Eagles didn't turn it over.
Yeah.
And that in the red zone defense. So I know everybody's going to be focused on the offense, but I look at the ability to generate those turnovers in that red zone defense, because 20-20, Minnesota was able to move the football. But they couldn't move it when it counted.
Yeah. Big Sales, what do you think of the passing game today, man? It's obviously something the team has been inconsistent with, but, a big explosion today in that performance, 19 of 23. I read you the numbers for Jalen Hurts and Saquon, or DeVonta and AJ both go off. Your thoughts, Sills, on the passing game today and the way they were able to move the ball?
Absolutely fabulous day, but I'm not sold they're doing that week in and week out, like John said. And absolutely no way. They've shown nothing in 2 years where they're going to do that week to week. They're just not. Again, here's where I will back up and go. The Vikings and Brian Flores has not given up a lot of plays, plus 25 all year. That's one of the better deep passing defensive football teams. But once again, the Vikings could not get any pass rush going. You got to give it to the O-line that was kind of makeshift in there a little bit. They protected the quarterback in pass probe. They couldn't get the run game going. But again, I'm not going to sit here and go like this. That's going to be something that we see on a day-to-day basis, because it's not.
You think it'll open up the run game a little more, though?
We're not going to see that week in and week out. So, again, these next couple games, let's see if they can get some type of consistency going. But for me, once again, this is all going to be about the run game, being consistent in the passing game.
You think that can get the run game going a little more?
One thing, too, John, on the Vikings. I told Zander before you came on, I've never seen a team that wanted or was trying to lose a football game in my life. The Vikings were down in the red zone 7 times.
Yeah.
Got 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
7 times.
And they were good coming into this game, so the Eagles deserve credit. They were good.
Absolutely. Red zone D was great.
1 of 6 they ended up in the red zone. The Eagles, by the way, were only in the red zone once, because all their touchdowns were big plays.
Plus 25, yeah.
And they were 0 for 1. Yeah, very uncharacteristic game from Minnesota's standpoint. They usually limit big plays. They got out of character and they tried to, to Dan's point, they weren't getting home with the pass rush. Again, they really miss Andrew Van Ginkel.
They
but,
did.
That they're a different team. They can't get home without him. and they have to play a different way. And when you have to play a different way, you tend to make some big mistakes, and they made a ton of big mistakes today, giving up plays they typically don't do. 3rd and long, they're typically off the field. And again, the only conversions the Eagles had on 3rd down were those 3rd and longs, with Jalen Hurts extending the play and finding receivers down the field.
That 13, when he slid to the right, John,
the AJ Brown play
completion on 13, when it was like
3rd and 13,
3rd and 13, that really, I thought, was the game right there. Was that
that was one of the biggest plays in the game, because Minnesota had a little bit momentum, would have gotten the ball back.
All time out.
Big time play. AJ and Isaiah are good friends. And AJ, I kind of chuckled when people all week, that was a narrative, because, and don't get me wrong, like it'd be better to have Isaiah Rodgers here than Kaylee Ringo or Dory Jackson. Hopefully Dory's all right, by the way. Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's better than those guys, but boy, people acting like he was gonna not have any problems with AJ and DeVonta. That's crazy. And he got beat for that long, what was it, 79-yard touchdown by DeVonta Smith, double move. That talk about uncharacteristic. That was a quintessential, I put that on X, quintessential NFL big shot play. Under center, play action, double move, max protection. Eagles never do that. Let's give some credit to Kevin Patullo.
Yeah. What do you guys think, Kevin? Listen, there were some calls, though, John. Like, this is where Kevin Patullo sometimes drives me nuts. Like, you got to have flow. You got to have rhythm in the game. Jalen's having this great drive when we were leading, I think, 21. And what was the score? 21-16 at the time. They have 3rd and 5, and they run the ball again into a stacked box. I'm like, what are you doing there? Jalen had rhythm. That was a great drive there. And that play call pissed me off. But overall, I do think he had a much better game. But there's still some moments where I'm just like, I don't get why you call that play there. It doesn't make sense to me. But
hey John,
Philadelphia's a tough town if you're criticizing that offense today, man.
Hey John, how about if you're Minnesota, you give single coverage down there on 3rd and long, and I'm sitting there, we're watching the game, and I looked over at my wife. I go, you got that guy single covered, and no way is he not going to not make that play. That was such a bad play call defensively by Flores, who I got massive respect for. But single coverage, 3rd and long at the end of the ball game on that guy, not a very good defensive play. But
he's a big pressure guy, and he wanted to get the ball out of his hands, and they couldn't generate pressure with 4. So, if that's the thing, he's going to bring more. And it bit him in the today. But perfect passer rating. That's not a good performance by the other team. So that's part of it. But you do have to give Jalen Hurts all the credit in the world. He's had these games in the past, maybe not this good, but he's had big games. He's played very well against this team traditionally, especially throwing the ball.
2 years ago, he had a great game against Minnesota.
Styles make fights. I said that before. Yep. I said it on pre, and I just do not think the Viking style defensively matchups with the Eagles well.
Yeah, but it was weird, John, because they didn't win in that exact way. Like, they didn't run the ball that well, 44 yards.
Well, they ran it well on that first drive, which I think set the tone. And then the Eagles got. Look, now it's time to start talking about Saquon.
No doubt. Is it pass protection, John? And
the pass protection's awful.
Where are we going with this here with him? I mean, I get that there's guys missing in the O-line, but holy cow, this guy looks like a shot fighter, and I don't see it. I mean, is he hurt, John? I know that he's got some nicks on it. I know you're around him a lot. Is he banged up or something? Because
I haven't seen any. I mean, he did get banged up against Tampa, and he got banged up in this game. Evidently, he got checked for a concussion, but he's a superstar, so he got cleared. So he was back in the game. Late, obviously, when they knew the numbers looked bad, when they knew they were going to run the ball on 1st and 2nd down and then convert on 3rd and long. So. But he just doesn't look like himself. He just doesn't. And he did early. I mean, that first drive was perfect football. That first drive, and then all of a sudden, it goes away from the standpoint of the running game. Obviously, the passing game made up for it today, but that's the point. You're not going to have that every week in the passing game. You're not going to have a perfect passer rating every week. You're not going to have receivers combining for 300 yards every week. Some people are going to come in with a better plan. Some people are just going to zone you up. That's what the Eagles did. They just zoned up Carson Wentz, and
So, John, if he doesn't have a superior and a perfect passing game, they lose that Minnesota game?
Oh, this game?
Yeah.
I mean, he won this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
no
not a
doubt
chance in
about
hell
it.
he has perfect passing games the next week to week, like you say. That's not happening.
You got to give him credit for having it today.
I didn't say that. That's not what I just said.
I'm giving all the credit. He won
That's
this
not what I
game.
said.
Yeah, I mean,
DeVonta and AJ are a big part of it, but Jalen Hurts won this game for the
So
Eagles.
clearly.
I thought it was a good performance too, and like he didn't force the ball. He let the game come to him. He made the throws when he needed to make the throws. I think a couple of the incompletions, there were only 4 incompletions. I think 2 of them were drops, if I'm not mistaken. I thought he really had a good sound.
I mean, anybody complaining about Jalen Hurts today?
No, absolutely not. Complaining about him today? Absolutely not.
No.
And remember, too, the offensive line, I mean, they are struggling out there. They do not look good. I thought
they did a pretty damn good job in pass protection. I thought they did a pretty good job. That there was a little bit of a hiccup when Toth had to come in. They struggled for a small period, but then you got to the second half. I have to look at his second half numbers when the game book. They're off the charts. The second half.
I thought that one of the biggest plays of the game for Jalen Hurts was that 3rd and 13 where he scrambled, got outside the pocket.
There were 3 of them. But
if they don't convert there, Minnesota has a chance to take the lead, and the whole game flips on its head. That was a huge play by Jalen.
That was AJ in front of, I believe, Jeff Okudah, who's still in the league magically. I mean, those extending plays, there were 3 of them, 3rd and longs. Those just and Dan could tell you do everything right as a defense, and then the quarterback extends the play, and really, it's really demoralizing when that happens. And that's I've said it for years. That's one of the strengths of Jalen Hurts. But he was just this is in the conversation for being the best game he ever played.
It is.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it was perfect passer rating, obviously 326, 3 touchdowns in the air. I mean, just a great game by Jalen. Guys, where are you on the defense?
It's the best passing performance in 2 years, 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Guys, where are you on the defense? I mean, it feels like they're still a little, they make big plays. Obviously had the 2 takeaways today, but it also got beat pretty good too in times. 313 total yards for Wentz through the air in the game. Jordan Addison was a menace today too. 9 catches for 128 yards. He had the long of 34. Where are you guys on the defense right now? Johnny Mac, I'll start with you there.
Well, I thought they had a really good game because of their red zone. I mean, I talk about this all the time. Games have personalities. People are piling up yards in this game. The Vikings piled up yards. The Eagles piled up yards. This was a shootout. And when it came to the red zone, that's where the Eagles won the game. 1 of 6. I mean. So they gave up yardage, but that's going to happen.
The Eagles only had 1 red zone trip themselves.
Yeah, because they were scoring. Yeah, they were scoring. So Jalen, by the way, he was 9 of 11 for 86 yards in the first half and a touchdown. So he was good, but think about that. What that means in the second half, and how much he dominated throwing the football. So it became a game where. And the Eagles were playing from the lead, so they had that advantage. But obviously, Minnesota outgained them. That's 7 straight games they've been outgained, which is crazy. And they're 5-2. I believe. I have to double check.
Yeah, they are.
Double check that. I believe Minnesota had more yardage total.
They did.
Which and I have to find this number. I meant to mention this on the pregame show. And I'm going to pull it up real quick if I can find it. But so here's the number that kind of struck me, and I give credit to Dave Gerhardt, who is the stat guy for Ricky and Oscar, who do the Spanish language broadcast. So, of the 92 teams all time that have been outgained in each of their first 6 games, only 5 have gone to the playoffs, and none reached the Super Bowl. They're up to 7 where they've been outgained. That is typically not a formula for victory. So there's still some things to be concerned about, but this is not the day to complain about Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, or DeVonta Smith.
No, agreed. Big Sills, your thoughts on the defense, brother, in that game today?
They gave up a ton. They're edge rushers. And here's something, too, that I couldn't get from the Viking coaching staff. They were giving up the edges, and they were giving up the edges. They were giving up the edges. Then they come back inside, and when they were down one time in the red zone, they were attacking the edges all the way to get down into the red zone. What did they do? Sack. They take the sack, throw the ball, stop the clock, and then they have to kick another field goal. Some of the sequencing by the coach was suspect at best when they got down in the red zone. I mean, they were winning at the edges, and they just completely got away from that, and how that they were really going about trying to win this game. I mean, I thought he settled down, though, in the second half. Wentz came out, and I thought Wentz had a better second half than he did in the first half. But, man, Minnesota did everything in that football game to shoot themselves in the foot. And once again, if the football team doesn't turn the football over and somebody plays like that, like I said, too, they had to have a perfect offense to beat that Minnesota Viking team, who will probably not make the playoffs. So
no,
I mean,
they are not a playoff team.
That's not a playoff team. So, like John said going into this, for me, Green Bay and Detroit are the games. This game here, congratulations for not robbing a bank. You did your job.
Yeah. Big Sills not ready to give the credit.
Absolutely nowhere near it.
Well, where I hear you. I mean, look, a lot of people are upset at us, Big Sills, because we were.
Why would they be upset when a guy has to have a perfect outing? To John's point, this is not sustainable. But I'll tell you again, I'm not ripping anybody here. Guy had a great game. If he doesn't have that great game, they don't beat the Vikings.
It feels good for this team to get back in the win column, but at the end of the day, we're calling. You gotta play up to your standard. You got the highest paid offense in football, and I think they did that today.
And they held on to win.
They did. Well, they deserve some credit for the way they played today.
They held on to
overall. Guys, what do you guys think of Nick Sirianni right now? John, you've always talked about how he's been great at some of the in-game decisions.
Owns the McVay tree, by the way. Owns it.
But some of the decision making, even going back to the last half, first half, and I meant to talk about this at the halftime show. They got 22 seconds left. Yeah. They got 2 timeouts. And they need 25 yards for it to be in field goal range.
He wanted to get in the halftime. I have no problem with that. Look at the end of game sequence. Look at the end of game sequence.
That was great. Aggressive, went for the pass. Run wasn't working.
Yep.
So yeah, I know a lot of people are going to harp on that halftime thing. I'm like, you could stress it if you want, but they were struggling. They had the first drive, and then they went in the lull. Which they picked it up in the second half, but I don't have a problem. He was in the lead, wanted to get into halftime with a 14-6 and was fine with it. I don't have a ton of issues with it. I know people are going to harp on it. I'm sure we'll get asked about it. I look at the end of game situation, perfect handling of it. You don't even give Minnesota an opportunity to have, to do anything, block a field goal, anything. So I think that overrides it. And again, for all the talk, you talk to everybody around this league. I mentioned this when they played the Rams. You ask everybody around this league, and I'm being facetious to everybody. There's a few, but the vast majority of people in the industry, I'm not even talking about fans, will tell you who's the better coach, Sean McVay or Nick Sirianni. They're all going to say Sean McVay. Who's the better coach, Kevin O'Connell or Nick Sirianni? So many are going to say Kevin O'Connell because he's the flavor of the month. Why does he keep beating these guys? Yeah, he's got talent, But
that's what it is, John. What do you
It
mean?
is talent.
Why does he keep beating him? Because he's got a better fucking football team.
Hey, John. Bill Belichick wasn't any lesser of a coach in New England. He just didn't have Tom Brady, and he had lesser talent around.
I get it. But when it's domination to the degree it's domination, at some point you might want to wake up and say, maybe he's not that bad. Maybe if Sean McVay had the same amount of talent, he's got a ton of talent, by the way.
He does.
And Kevin had a ton of talent last year. Not as much, but they're making a bad decision on the quarterback, not Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, but you got to stay consistent on it. I mean, you always talk about, every coach says, we want to see a great coach, show me great players. He's got great players.
Well,
John.
Nick says that. I have
Every
never
coach says that. Every coach.
Xander, there's no coach in NFL history that's never been tied in with a great quarterback.
That is.
I don't care what you say.
My only point is, how about giving this guy the benefit of the doubt? Everybody bends over backwards to give McVay, O'Connell the benefit of the. How about giving this guy the benefit of the freaking doubt? Occasionally, I think it's crazy.
Oh, I give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying he's a trash can. I'm just saying, to compare him to other guys and say he's better than him because they have a better head-to-head record. It's not a perfect way to
McVay's record is awful good. 5 division titles.
It ain't
2
good
NFC
against.
championships,
It ain't good
Super
against.
Bowl.
It ain't good against this team.
I'll tell you
Ain't
what.
good against this team.
How about this? He ain't good against Bulls either. I mean, he's not. Bulls owns him. I mean, look, everything is situational, as you said.
John, I think one of the hard parts about Nick for people is it's
He doesn't call plays.
Well, but it's also, what does he add to the team from a football perspective? That's what makes it esoteric, where it's like, all right, Nick was supposed to be the offensive mind. He doesn't manage the play calls. He doesn't do, any of that stuff anymore. You at least know McVay is an offensive mastermind. That's what he brings to your team. Even if he fucks up on certain decisions.
I bring this up.
I get it.
Sometimes I bring this up with Ben Johnson, and I always go back to Detroit losing to Washington. And he's putting the ball in the hands of Jameson Williams in the biggest moment of his season. Sometimes it's okay to do things conventionally. Sometimes I don't need insert motion to make everybody fall at the feet of Sean McVay. Sometimes it's okay to just say, you know what, I do have tremendous talent. As a perfect example here, it's 3rd and 13. Let the quarterback go extend the play. Let the quarterback go find DeVonta Smith or AJ Brown. But whatever. That was my little tangent. Because he dominates that fucking coaching tree. Dominates it.
Well, he does, but he's got better talent than almost all of them. Every one of them, I would say.
John, why is he questioned every week?
Well, every coach is questioned. I'm sure, Sean gets questioned as well. Although, they got to get to the beach in Los Angeles, so maybe that takes some of the edge off. But
or that psycho house he has out there on Malibu.
Look, and I'm not saying the guy's a very good coach. I'm not saying he's not. Kevin O'Connell's a very good coach.
He is.
But guess what? If I'm grading head coaches, Nick Sirianni's better than both of them.
How about this, John? If you're Minnesota, do you really go back over that? And I'm playing Monday morning quarterback here. But damn, you let Sam Darnold roll out the building?
If I'm Kevin O'Connell,
if Sam Darnold's there, they win that game today.
Oh, yeah. But if I'm Kevin O'Connell, I'm disgusted after this game with myself.
No doubt.
I mean, I'm disgusted. And part of it is, again, they made the worst personnel decision of the offseason, and they have an issue with the quarterback position. So automatically it becomes more difficult to win games. But, they were in the red zone 6 times. You're an offensive genius. You cashed in once.
Damn.
Now, there's some bad luck.
How much does Carson Wentz have to do with that?
Well, and there was some bad luck with the holding call, that was a bad call. That called back a touchdown. The Hawkinson play, maybe it could have been a little bit better.
John, like I said, I've never seen a team shoot themselves in the foot more than
I'm just telling you, if I'm Kevin O'Connell, I am not happy with
no
my
way, man. That was a poorly played game by Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean,
coaching too, man.
Look, we all know the reason the Eagles won today. Their offense showed up and showed out and did what they had to do.
Actually, their passing game showed up.
Yeah, their passing game. I shouldn't even say offense because the running game is still struggling crazily. I mean, 18 carries for 44 yards on Saquon. You guys brought it up a little earlier. What is the meter? Where is the meter on Saquon? I mean, to me, it still looks like offensive line is the bigger problem in run blocking, but you guys seem to be a little bit more concerned about Saquon. Stills, I'll start with you. Where are you on Saquon?
Dude, what? Okay, let's say it's the O-line. What's the excuses on almost getting Hurts killed 2 weeks ago on missing a
the
pass protection, and then what he's doing back there now? I mean, is this lack of focus or something, or not being focused on what you're being asked to do? I mean, I don't know what he's thinking back there. You know, he was supposed to be one of the better guys in pass protection in the league when it comes to running backs, and he has not been good this year at all, man. I mean, last year they really didn't ask him to do it all because they ran the ball over 400 times. But damn, dude, I get it. Cam Jerkins is out. I see a lot of guys losing offensive linemen, and they still go out there and perform. Jalen performed today without guys in there like, hey, Luke, dude, you lose your center. I would rather at times lose my left tackle than the guy who handles the ball as much as the center, as much as the quarterback. The center and the quarterback handle the football as much as anybody on the field. That was a massive loss in there to have to go to a backup center and have him play like that. And for him to put up those numbers, that was a really great performance in the passing game. But the run game, I'll tell you what, they are nowhere near what they were a year ago. They weren't even near what they were when DeAndre Swift was on the team.
No, that's what's concerning, because I didn't expect them to, you know, repeat what they did last year. But I said, well, ground floor, and I kind of put, you know, last season, I said, well, you know, I freely admit, Zander knows, I thought Saquon was a little bit overrated after seeing all the years with the Giants, and turns out, you know, he proved me wrong. This is what I expected, but not to this degree. Not to this degree.
Hey, John, you know what I noticed? A lot of under center stuff today.
Yeah, well, more. I mean, the big play.
How about it? Under center play action, and you have it's amazing how that works.
You think that some of the stuff they talked about, John, was getting more under center and doing some of that and not being as predictable?
I have to rewatch it. I don't think they did it a ton, but they took a shot and it worked. So when you do that, it looks so much better. You know, that was a 79-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Career. Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, you know, the contextual nature, 361 total yards, 80 of them came on that play, basically. So there's still room for improvement, certainly in the running game, certainly in the pass protection when it comes to Saquon's blitz pickup, which has been really, really poor this year. But, you know, unless you get that running game going, I get it. Everybody's going to be excited about the passing game, and you think you can do it. You can't do this every week. You can't.
No, but it can be better than it has been before. It doesn't need to be this perfect every week, but it also doesn't need to be what it was weeks 1 through 6.
Well, no,
they can find obviously here. I believe they can and they should.
It's the extremes, and today you got the good extreme, and you've had the bad extremes as well. They got to get this running game fixed. They got to get it fixed. And I don't know how they can get it fixed.
Well, let's see what they end up doing. Big Sills, everybody wants, not so much John, but everybody wants to hear this from you, Big Sills, because you are known in Eagle Land as the Jalen hater. In Eagle Land, you are the Jalen hater.
No. I think the guy's limited. I don't think he can do this on a week-to-week basis into what John just said.
All right, well, what are you giving him today?
You had to play a perfectly rated game to beat the Vikings.
Well, that's
put that in context. Let's put it in context. Okay, what's not the context?
It's not on Jalen though,
dude.
Well, Jalen won this game. Yeah,
Jalen had to make up for the deficiencies.
I didn't say it was. I'm saying it's on the run game. I'm saying you're not doing this every week. I'm saying that you had Carson Wentz throw for over 300 yards in a football game, and that people are going to find those edges. And by the way, Keely Ringo, how you doing? They're going to find these guys, man. I want to see this on a consistent basis.
So it's a 1 to 10. Grade Jalen Hurts today.
Today, on October 19th, A+.
A+, baby. There it is.
Okay.
Good stuff,
The previous games, C-.
All right. Good stuff.
John's saying the same shit I'm saying.
That's fair. C- before this game. You know, that's the thing about the NFL. This is one of the best games he's ever played.
You guys think
against the Vikings. No, look, I'll give you context on this. Dude, that coordinator that he did it against, that's nothing to sneeze at.
No, that's true. We talked about Brian Flores for a long time. I heard a lot about Brian Flores.
Nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, no.
I talked about it a lot. They were the number 6 ranked defense coming into the league based on yards per game.
And they were good in their secondary.
Great against the pass. Great. We thought they were going to be able to run.
But see, that's why I go, you know what? They don't have any cornerbacks. I warn people, they don't have cornerbacks. In a lot of ways, that gives Flores even more credit because he's able to have 5 games and be whatever he was, 6th in the, and he doesn't have cornerbacks. So that speaks to him as a coordinator. But occasionally
3-3. I mean, I just can't believe the Vikings are now 3-3, John. I mean,
yeah, I mean, well, hey, they're very limited and very banged up. So this is why I thought the Eagles were going to win this game, and I thought everything was going to be fine, and it will be fine. And I think they're going to rebound against the Giants because the Giants are the Giants, and all of a sudden everybody's going to be happy, 6-2, going into the bye, and. Then Green Bay and Detroit. Which one's first? I forget. Detroit, I think, is first.
Yeah, Green Bay at Lambeau.
Green Bay. Those 2 games will tell the tale of what this team is. Not Minnesota. I said this pregame. I said they're going to win this game, and people are going to. And you're not going to learn much from this game. I don't think you learn much from this game, other than Jalen Hurts had a tremendous game, and so did DeVonta and A.J. Brown. But we all knew they had that ability. They've done it in the past. But I didn't think you were going to learn much from this game. And if you peel back the onion of the joy, you'll say what Sills is saying. Yeah, they gave up almost 400 yards. If they tightened up some things and didn't make as many mistakes, people aren't as happy as they are even with that passing game, because if they would have converted a couple of those red zones, you're talking about a completely different game. So I don't think you learn that much, but it was a necessary step to stop the skid. And I don't think you're going to learn much next week, to be honest, but you are going to learn a lot against Green Bay and Detroit.
How about Minnesota holding them to under 50 plays, John?
Well, yeah, I mean,